Hi, welcome to the kidney class of this yin series. And I just want to start off with telling you exactly where the meridians are that we're going to be working, and then we'll talk more, of course, about the organs and what the balancing of these organs and energy channels means. So the kidney meridian begins in the little toe and it runs up the inner arch of the foot and then up through the inner leg. And once it hits the groin torso region, it sort of moves its way up through the abdomen and chest, passing through the liver, through the lungs, through the diaphragm, comes up through the neck, and it finishes at the base of the tongue. And the urinary bladder, which is the component organ to the kidneys, the urinary bladder meridian starts on the inside of the eye, and it actually goes upward through the forehead and through the brain, which is important to note for later. And then it runs down the back body parallel to the spine. Branches of it do finish in the kidney and bladder region, but other branches continue on down through the back of the leg and then also finish in the pinky toe. So where the kidney meridian begins is where the urinary bladder meridian ends. So let's get started. You'll start seated on your mat, and just for a quick reminder, we are going to be using the wall for the final two postures. So make sure that you have a place that you can maybe set up by the wall, or you have a wall that you can move to that won't be too cumbersome to move to at the end, toward the end of practice. So we're just going to start here in butterfly pose. So your butterfly pose can be as deep or as short as you want it to be, but I do recommend, giving yourself some space to get into the posture. Maybe bringing your heels about the distance of your arms. And if you have blocks, that's great. You can set blocks in between the feet. Otherwise, you're just going to slowly start to forward fold, close your eyes, and I'll get the timer ready. And we're going to be here for about 5 or so minutes. So take a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe out, slowly exhale all of that air through the mouth as you soften your upper body and allow the upper body to melt down toward the floor. And there's just a really gentle anchoring of the sit bones and a softening of the shoulder blades as you round. Slowly becoming aware of the natural pattern of your breath and maybe bringing more depth, more vitality to the breathing. And as you breathe in, imagine filling the back body and spreading the rib cage and the shoulder blades with your breath. And as you exhale, allowing it to float out through the nostrils, giving your body a chance to empty and heavy closer to the floor. So the kidneys themselves are located in the back body behind the lower ribs. And their primary function is really to filter the blood. And they are thought to filter up to 15 gallons of blood per hour. And it's the kidney's job to balance all of the fluids in the body. So all of your fluids, from your blood to your sexual reproductive fluids, all of this is ruled and balanced by the health of your kidneys. It regulates your blood pressure, it rules the bone marrow, the reproductive organs, and notably, it is highly connected to the health of the lower back. So for any of us who are suffering from lower back issues, and maybe you're doing your abdominal exercises and strengtheners every day and nothing seems to be helping, this could be a good indicator that your kidney chi is out of whack and needs to be recalibrated. Keep breathing, keep heavying, and remembering the tenets of a yin practice. Come to your appropriate depth. Make the commitment to stay here in stillness and hold the posture for an extended period of time, all the while working to surrender as much as you possibly can to the shape. And this takes some work. It means there is a constant scanning of your physical state. A continuous deference to stillness, a conscious releasing of tension. And the ability to concentrate on your breath and peel yourself away from your thoughts, or pull yourself out of the past or away from the future, and just try to stay here where you are, on your mat, in your room, or wherever you're practicing. Allow your awareness to remain there. We have just over 1 minute remaining. Get yourself heavier. Relax your jaw. Maybe visualizing the kidneys in the back body. Imagine the breath floating directly to them, that oxygen and nutrients and outer energy being absorbed directly by the kidneys. The kidneys are known in traditional Chinese medicine to house your internal essence energy. So the pairing of kidneys with the urinary bladder is similar to the parents of the household. You can slowly start to pull yourself out of this pose by pressing into the heels of the hands and lifting the torso up, up, up. And we'll stay here and simply extend the left leg straight off to the side. The right foot can hug in as much as is comfortable. And now turn your upper body over towards your left thigh, softening your left leg as much as possible. And as you hinge forward from the waist, slowly start to fold torso over quadricep. And we'll stay here with framing the front leg, or maybe placing a block underneath of your forehead. Whatever feels good and natural and organic to you in this moment. So kidneys and the urinary bladder are the parents of the household. And when the parents are out of balance, the entire household's energy is out of balance. So it's critical to have a nice balanced and healthy kidney and urinary bladder chi, because the entirety of the body and the rest of the organs depends and sustains itself off the health of this critical organ pairing. So the urinary bladder is located beneath the kidneys, and it is connected directly to each kidney. And aside from being the storage place for your urine, it is also the place through which any kind of fluid waste is discarded. energy coming from the kidneys, coming from the urinary bladder, can be depleted with excess heat. So I know I had mentioned it in a previous class, but if you're a lover of spicy food and you're a lover of, being in the sun, literal, tangible sources of heat can put the kidney chi into overdrive and cause the depletion. So it's important to balance this, find equanimity with a cooling practice like yin, maybe ingesting cooling foods, and taking part in some, cooling activities. If you find yourself crunching your neck, just soften it, tuck the chin, let your head hang heavy. And again, if it's too much, you can prop your forehead up with a block or with a bolster to relieve any kind of pressure you might feel on the neck. Let the back of the left knee melt. Let your toes rotate inward or outward depending on the structure of your skeleton. As long as you're not gripping the bone with the muscle. You're reaching that fascia that you want to reach, the connective tissues that you want to reach, by completely letting go of any muscular tension. The gripping of the muscle is just going to block the journey. It's going to block the point at which you want to arrive. We have about 1 minute remaining. Maybe you can remove whatever prop is underneath of the forehead, seeing how much closer your nose might reach to your kneecap. Keep the breath flowing. Release and let go. Now slowly press into the palms. Lift the torso. Extend the right leg straight off to the side and very slowly take a hold of the inside of your left knee and rotate your left knee out as you encourage your left foot in towards your inner right thigh. And now we'll gently turn the torso over toward the right thigh and start to fold. Letting your foot and ankle relax, letting the upper body, cervical spine, cheeks, nose, and forehead release. So together, the kidneys and the urinary bladder have a strong effect on your short-term memory as well as your willpower. Imbalances will cause fear, especially fear of change, feeling lack of trust or an inability to cope with the way life is. All of which might ring very true for a lot of people right now. So keeping that energy flowing and in balance will help relieve the anxieties you might be experiencing in the present political climate. And as I mentioned, the urinary bladder meridian runs through the brain, which is really important because it is related to and influences the limbic system. And the limbic system is in charge of all of your body cycles, including your sleep cycle, your appetite. It affects your libido, it affects your mood. Any kind of stress on the limbic system might manifest as irritability. If it's overcharged, you might begin to interpret all types of events, whether positive, neutral, all types of events as negative. So these types of manifestations are directly linked to the health of your urinary bladder and kidney, as well as the energy channels that run to and from. Continuously soften your ankle, soften the back of the legs. And maybe you can even connect or tune into that fine flow of blood and energy in the backs of the legs where the urinary bladder flows, lines flow, as well as the inner leg where the kidney lines flow. And of course, this is a gentle stress and pull on the lower back, which will help to strengthen those tissues around the spine. If you've propped yourself up with a block or a bolster, maybe you want to change the configuration for the final minute of this posture. Keep letting go, keep surrendering. Release the resistance to the pose and just fall into it. Gently, gently begin to press into the palms, stacking the spine on top of the pelvis. Reach the crown of the head up. And if you have any props, just move them off to the side. Cross the ankles and then come over into a tabletop position just for a moment. And you feel out your body here for a second. If you want to run through a couple of cat-cows, a little bit of a yang posture, you're welcome to do that, or maybe sway hips side to side. Or maybe you don't want to do any of these things, which is also fine, and we're going to make our way together into a Sphinx pose. So bring your feet about the distance of the mat, let the tops of the feet melt down and tap the floor, and now bring your elbows underneath of your shoulders, or you can bend the elbows and cup the forehead with the hands. And we'll stay here for 5 minutes. And as usual in a Sphinx pose, you do want to feel a bit of compression in the lumbar spine, in the coccyx sacral area. This is starting to help regenerate tissue. So this pressure or this loading is what we want to go for. So eyes closed, and whatever version of the shape you choose. And your shoulders are going to start to, creep up towards the ears, and that's okay. When you notice it, just give a slight draw, a slight pinch of the scapula to pull them back and free the neck. And just continue to breathe. If at any point this is too much, you can always lower your forehead down onto stacked palms into crocodile pose, if that feels better to you. But do your best to stick it out here in the Sphinx. And yin has a variety of benefits on the body, both mental, also emotional, energetic, and physical. And one of the physical benefits, which is probably, well, it's certainly one of the most desirable benefits, is what it does to your fascia. So there are 3 types of fascia throughout the body, which is a, interwebbing of connective tissue. There's superficial fascia, which is located just underneath of the skin. There is visceral fascia, which is what holds your organs in suspension in their particular cavities in the body. And there is deep fascia, which is basically it penetrates all of the muscle and the bone, the nerves, and the blood vessels in the body. And the deep fascia is what we work with most in yin. So you can think about it as being sort of like a saran wrap that covers all of the muscles and the organs and the bones and the ligaments, and the nerves and all of these different vessels and things that are floating through your body. Something has to hold that together and keep your posture and keep your balance, and that is the role that the fascia plays. And the deep fascia is made of collagen, which strengthens and builds your tissues. And it's also made of elastin, which is what gives your tissues the ability to return to a particular shape after having been stretched. So, for example, if you pinch your skin really hard, for a moment you might see a little bit of a remnant of that, but your skin generally will snap back into its particular smoothness, and that is because of elastin. The deep fascia is also full of different sensory receptors. And in these sensory receptors, the body is able to detect pain, to detect movement, a change of chemistry, a change of vibration, even fluctuations in your temperature. So deep fascia is, it's really intricate part of the workings of the inside of your body. And we're able to access that through yin by holding postures for such a long period of time. It takes at least 90 seconds for a stressed bone or stressed ligament to start to activate the workings of your fascia. We have 30 seconds if you want to straighten your arms out with your hands out into seal pose. You can finish off like this. Softening your lower abdominal to the floor, and remember, doing your best to keep your legs completely supple and relaxed. Now slowly lower all the way down, stacking your palms and placing the forehead down onto the palms into crocodile pose, and let's just take 5 breaths here in silence. After 5 breaths, slowly lift your body off the floor. Place your palms down next to the chest. And now press back for a moment into a child's pose. Hips to heels, arms wrapped around the shins by the sides. Maybe reaching back to your feet. Staying here compact, relaxing your shoulders down around your knees. And now gently start to press up, and we'll come into saddle pose. So saddle pose is very useful with blocks. You're going to bring your knees a little bit wider than hip distance, or even really wider than hip distance, depending on the health of your lower back and the flexibility of the fronts of the thighs and the psoas. So it doesn't say anything to, your health as much as it's just, going to be a nice indicator of how open you are in the front of the body today. So what we're going to do in saddle pose, it's like a spin-off of a hero's pose, Virasana, if you've done that in a yoga practice before. Blocks are really helpful to place underneath of your shoulders and underneath of the head. So you want your knees to be tractioning down toward the floor. You can stack pillows underneath of your upper body to keep the height. If you're really flexible in the front body today, you don't even need to use these blocks. So wherever you are, just let your heart be open, let your face be soft. Take a nice deep breath in. And through the nose, exhale, come to a completely empty belly. And now again, start to breathe in and out through the nose. Stimulating the kidneys from the front end of things. So the fascia that we are stimulating, the fascia also houses something called fibroblasts, and these are little cells that create collagen. So when the tissues, the fibroblasts, are stressed in a good way, like we're doing here in yin, when they feel some kind of a good stress, they begin to secrete these chemicals that create more collagen and therefore strengthen your tissues. They start to also rearrange the elastin fibers, making your fascia, which again goes through your muscles and your bones. It makes it a little more supple yet strong at the same time. And this is also takes place around the outer layer of bone. So you're really hitting deep sections of your internal body. And this posture, saddle pose, has the added benefit of being a heart opener. If you're up on props and there's any way that you do feel ready to deepen or challenge yourself, you're welcome to change the configurations or remove one bolster, or simply So from your saddle pose, you're going to gently engage your lower abdominals and prop up onto your forearms if you aren't propped up already. So with the belly engaged ever so slightly, start to press into the palms, straighten out the arms, and now stack the spine on top of the pelvis. Take a moment here, just breathe with eyes closed, with a nice open chest and extended spine. And now open the eyes, and if you had any props, you can put them off to the side. And now roll onto the outer left hip. So you can roll back onto your sit bones and hug your knees forward into your chest in a seated position. extension through the crown of the head, pressing the sit bones down onto the floor. And now with the knees bent and the feet grounded down into the earth, slowly start to lower all the way down onto the spine and extend the right arm straight back behind you. Extend the left arm out into a T position. And now settle the upper back on the floor, spread the lower back on the mat, and let your knees drop over to the left side. If this is too much, on the outer left hip, you can place a block underneath of your left knee to catch the left knee and give you some support. So we'll be here for 5 minutes in your simple spinal twist with the right arm extended back behind you. Now just get quiet and again, bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to the physical sensation inside the body, maybe around the skin. Feel this cyclical flow as the oxygen spreads, as the blood travels through, and delivering all this life force and all these nutrients through your body. And if you feel any way on the neck, you can turn your head to the left. You can even turn your head to the right. Whatever feels good, just feel it out. And if you'd like to start to intensify the twist, maybe you can stack the right knee on top of the left knee. But if that's not working today, it's not working today. Can you soften the sides of the neck and the right shoulder down? And if you're clenching through your right arm, you'll notice that if your elbow is completely straight and locked out. So if you notice that, just give a slight bend to the elbow to release all of the muscles around your upper arm bone, your forearm, the joints of the elbow, the ligaments. Just concentrate on that simple rise and fall of the chest. And the simple rise and fall of the belly. Scan the body for gripping, especially around the face, around the hips, around the knees. And totally let go. You have just about 1 minute remaining. Where are you resisting and where can you release? as slowly and gently as you can, draw the right arm down as you bring your knees back up through center. And stay here for a second. Feel it. And now bring the right arm out in a T position and extend the left arm back towards the top of the mat. And now the knees will fall over to the right side. And feel it out here. You can stack the left knee more on top of the right knee. You can place a block underneath the right knee. Micro bend that left elbow to ensure that there's no gripping sensation in the upper arm bone area. And now let the chest spread wide, let the eyes close, let the breath flow. Relax. Right side body as much as you can. Opening left side body as much as you can. Yin is a very internal practice. So we're really washing and rinsing the body from the inside to manifest from the inside out. So let it be quiet. Let it be very soft and gentle. Tune in with those little subtle adjustments that your body naturally makes to relax itself. You might feel little fidgets that seem to be coming out of nowhere that pull you deeper into the shape. Have just a bit more than 1 minute remaining. Get heavier. Let the earth support you. Now softly slide the left arm alongside the left side body rib cage, and now bring the knees up again through center, planting soles of the feet onto the floor, and just stay here for a moment. Become aware of what your left arm feels like, what the sides of the body feel like, without labeling them, just notice them. And now take your knees back over to the left side and stack your right shoulder on top of the left. And use the ground as support to rise. And extend your legs straight out in front of you. Bring your feet about the width of the mat so you have a nice mini V inside of your legs. And we'll take a block, some kind of a prop perhaps in front of you, so that you can forward fold, and maybe you place, I need 2 blocks, maybe you place the forehead down onto your props and your hands onto your legs or shins or ankles. Feet are completely relaxed. Breathe. Kidneys are wide open in this forward fold. Forward bending influences a calming sensation of the nervous system, and forward folds are great to do right before any kind of rest, especially before going to sleep for the night. Yin is a very great practice to do just before retiring for the evening. However, it's not always accessible at that time of night, and if that's the case and you need to remain energized, you're always welcome to finish a yin practice with a few yang poses. So running through a few sun salutations is a great idea if you need to re-energize. But always complement the yin with the yang afterwards. So yin will always come first. We want the muscles and the ligaments and the joints to be as cool as possible while practicing yin. Because even though elastin will help pull tissues and other connective tissues back into their original place after being stretched, there is a certain point at which ligaments are stretched from which they cannot bounce back. That's why yin should always be done in a room temperature to cool environment. You have about 1 minute remaining. If you'd like to remove a prop, you're welcome to do so now. If you want to find more depth in the shape, please do so now. Remember to keep the legs as relaxed as possible. Slowly start to rise. And from here we'll make our way to the wall. So you can put your props off to the side, but have them reachable just in case. And what we're going to do is you'll shimmy. I'm going to move my mat up because my boards are wood, but you'll shimmy your sit bones up against the wall. So I'm bringing my computer with me because it has it's my source of timing here. So I need to have it close, so I know that we're spending an appropriate time in each posture. So you'll want to bring one of your hips or sit bones up to the wall before lying down, and then you'll extend your legs up And now you'll press your sit bones, shimmy your sit bones a little bit closer. So now you'll come into this legs up the wall pose, which is not what we're starting it with. We're going to start with dragonfly. So allow your legs to fall open into a wide V as much as possible while your heels are being supported by the wall. Now, if this is too much, and it's because this can intensify really quickly, you can also stack blocks or books or pillows underneath of your hips and outside of the thighs. Otherwise, if you feel okay here, you can just stay here. Arms can be out in T, even back behind you. Maybe take a hold of opposite elbows. Whatever promotes relaxation and softness into your torso and upper chest, upper back, throat area. And let go. Nothing's going to rip or tear, but if you feel it so intensely, again, don't be afraid to use props. Props are a beautiful component to any yoga practice that helps make the practice more accessible to you. And there's why people think there's something wrong with that blows my mind. And you'll definitely feel a tugging or a pulling sensation on the inner groin and the inner thighs. And remember, this is one of the lines of the kidney meridians is just inside your inner leg, traveling from the lower back through the inner thighs, inside the knee, inside the calves, to the inner arch of your foot, to your pinky toe. If you happen to have a hold of your elbows, switch the grip so that the opposite forearm is on top. If not, don't worry about what I just said. Bring a soft smile to the face to ensure there's no unnecessary grip of the cheeks or the jaw. Let the face be in a completely natural state. Allow the breath to flow as organically and naturally as possible while consciously keeping the breath deep and fulfilling and vibrant. Encourage the breath down through the sacral area and through the inner thighs and the inner legs. Breathe in so deeply that it pushes down to your pinky toe. And breathe out so fully that it retracts up from the pinky toe through the backs of the legs. Out through the nose. Keep softening the shoulders, the chest. On the next breath, take your hands to the outsides of the thighs. And you might want to bend the knees a little bit for this. As you bring your feet up the wall, inner thighs, inner legs come together. You might have to scoot your booty back against the wall one more time. Letting your palms face up, letting your shoulders spread. Staying here and legs up the wall. Really great posture to check in with yourself, with your connection to the inner workings of your frame. A beautiful place to tap into that flow of energy from the feet down through the legs, eventually making its way to the heart. Giving the heart a bit of a break. Instead of the heart having to push all the blood out, we allow the blood to rush to it. If you have super high blood pressure and this is uncomfortable for you, you also have the option of bringing the soles of the feet together and coming into a reclined butterfly pose. But if you don't have any issues with the blood pressure, you can stay in this inversion for the next couple of moments. And I even invite you to stay in this inversion for the final posture for your Shavasana, which I will leave you to on your own to take for as long as you like. Now gently begin to let go of that control of your breath. One more scan to release any remaining tension. And I invite you to stay here and legs up the wall, or I invite you to come down into your full Shavasana. And you're welcome to stay here for as long as you like, until you feel ready to come back to your day. So I'll leave you here. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Have a beautiful night. Namaste.